Hey beautiful people, welcome back to my channel. Today I want to talk to you guys basically because it's a brand new year, a brand new decade. Happy 2020 guys. Actually I don't even know if it's going to come out just before 2020 or just after, but either way, happy 2020 and thank God for bringing us all hopefully into this brand new decade. But I want to talk to you guys about opportunities, possibilities, and hopefully inspire you guys by sharing quite a bit of my story in this video, my journey, how I got to where I am. Not that I'm anywhere great, but like literally it's not been smooth sailing. So I hope some of you guys can relate to my story, my message, and hopefully feel confident sharing your journey below, and hopefully inspire other people who may be going through something similar to what you went through or what I went through. And yeah, like the most important thing I want to get out of this video, by the way, is that your happiness is so important. Like happiness is a thing that drives me in literally everything that I do. Like being happy, if I'm not happy, I'm not staying, I'm not doing it, like I'm sorry. Being happy is so important, and having that conviction to leave a bad situation has, you know, always paid off. Always paid off. So yeah, before I get into this video, it is sponsored by UNice hair. They sent me this gorgeous wig. I've had it for over a month now. It will be linked in my description box. I got it at like 24 inches, but I've cut it down to about 20 inches because I wanted to keep it short, like cute, you know. I've installed it because I'm heading out. I've laid the baby hairs, but the curls need to be reset, and I'm going to just go in with some water and some mousse. Actually the spray bottle is empty, so I'm gonna have to go top that up first. But yeah, I'll just be styling while I talk to you guys and just explain my journey, who I am, and hopefully you guys can relate. I'm in me, just doing me. We're looking good, feeling good. Happy new decade, happy new year, eh? So guys, let's get into this. Spritzy water bottle. So I'm starting my year very single. I know you guys know that I was dating Gabriel for over 4 months, almost 5, but yeah, that is not carrying on into 2020. I had to look at it and I'm like, is this a situation that I want to start this new decade in? And honestly, it really wasn't, and I wish him nothing but the best. But yeah, starting this new decade, single Pringle, ready to mingle. I'm starting this decade looking for a new job. I'm starting this decade with so many goals. Like I think I spoke to you guys about it. I want a new job. I want to sell my flat and buy a house. I want a puppy. I want a new car. Like I have so many like ambitions for 2020, and I'm really trusting in God to make these things come true for me. But yeah, getting a new job is the first goal, and that's been quite hard because I kind of decided I was gonna go back to work in November, but over the Christmas period nobody's been hiring, so I've just kind of been sitting and waiting patiently. But now January is around the corner and I am so ready to get back out there, so ready to do what needs to be done. But yeah, let me talk you guys through my background and what I do. Like, so some of you might not know that I'm an account manager by profession. So I actually studied law but decided not to practice once I was called to the bar. So called to the bar, like in the UK at least, it's different. All lawyers are not the same. We have solicitors and barristers. So I went to law school. Okay, let's start right from the top. I did my undergraduate law degree, then I did my commercial law masters, and I went to law school for a year. I got called to the bar, passed law school obviously, got called to the bar, and that was when it was time to really go into practicing as a barrister. And barristers are the lawyers that go to court and argue cases, and I always wanted to be a barrister growing up. I thought that was the career for me. I had a mouth for me. I was quite feisty. I like to argue, so everyone always said, God, you'd make a really good lawyer, you'd make a really and especially because I've got good communication skills, good verbal skills, so like yeah, you'd make a good barrister. And I loved studying law. I loved finding out about it, learning like the intricacies of it, persuasive arguments, presenting your case. Your girl loved all of that. But law school was when I really realized like what day in day out of being a barrister would entail. And I think I've done a story time where I told you guys that I wanted to quit law school after 3 weeks because it was like a shock to reality from going from learning about the law to actually seeing what practicing with it would be like. And I just knew it wasn't for me, but my mum was like, we don't quit in this family. So I kept on going, and one of the best decisions I ever made in my life, because what I learned in law school, nothing has prepared me more for the real world than that. Hair's looking good with the water through it. Yes. Hey. So yeah, so after law school I obviously decided I wasn't going to practice, but I didn't know what I was going to do. Like, the good thing about a law degree is that it does translate to so many different professions, and you've got to be smart with your degrees, guys. If you find yourself at a point where you don't want to use what you've studied, you don't want to go into the obvious choice, you have to think, okay, what skills have I picked up and what other professions do they translate to? I kind of fell into what I ended up doing account management because I didn't know what I wanted to do, but I knew that after like 3 different degrees and like 5 years in further education that I wanted to earn money. Now obviously being a lawyer there's good money, but not really at the start. At the start it's very long hours for very little pay, but I mean you can rise very, very quickly, and also it depends what sort of law you do. There's a lot of money in certain types of laws right from the start. But yeah, so what I ended up falling into was sales. And I remember, because I had like all this like education, I was like, I'm not accepting a job that's less than £25,000 a year. Absolutely not. This was back in 2012. Absolutely not. That's the absolute minimum I'm going to accept, you know, with all the education I have and the skill set I've picked up. And this was when the UK was just coming out of a recession, and companies had started hiring again after years of non-hiring, and after years of cutting down their staff, companies had started hiring again. But it was very, very slow. Like, the economy was just recovering, and it was so hard to get a job because the people that had lost their jobs and had experience were the ones that were obviously more hireable than a fresh graduate, no experience, and especially one that was like, I refuse to earn less than 25 grand. So I ended up moving back home after well, not even like law school. I lived at home during law school, but I ended up staying at home for the next year and a half waitressing. So I was basically a full-time waitress with all the degrees I had and my pride. I was a full-time waitress for the next year and a half, and I was job hunting like nobody's business. Like, I think there was a time where I was just so disappointed. I thought I'd become such a failure. I couldn't believe like just how much like I put into my education and like all the plans I had for my future, and 18 months after law school and being called to the bar, I wasn't even hireable for like most graduate roles. Like, I was so down in the dumps, but like a girl never quit fighting. But what I did have to do was I had to like humble myself quite a bit and drop from the I'm not accepting anything less than 25 grand to, okay, I'm gonna have to start right at the bottom. I'll take a graduate role. And you know, I took a job that was 18,000. The basic was £18,000, and it was in sales. It was a sales executive, and it was actually quite a good job. I was there for just over a year, I think. But the way that sales works, and the ways that most account management that are sales based work, is that you'll have a basic commission. I'm just going to let this dry off for a bit. You're going to have your, not commission, you're going to have your basic salary, and then based on your performance and how much you sell, you earn commission on top of that. So 18k, and I remember in this new job I started, it wasn't even a graduate role. Like, there were loads of people there that weren't graduates, and I was like in the office with people that didn't have anywhere near the level of education I had, but they were so lovely, they were so kind, they taught me the ropes really quickly, and I got stuck in right from the get-go. You know, I remember like my manager at the time calling the owner of the company to come and listen to one of my sales calls in my first week. He's like, come, you need to hear this girl, you need to listen to this girl on the phone, she's amazing. And I remember just every month over exceeding targets. I think the 12 months that I was there, there was only 1 month that I didn't hit my target, and that was because in that month I had 2 weeks holiday and I still came to like 90 something percent of targets. So it turned out that even though I just fallen into sales, I was actually really good at it. I was kind of like a natural, especially when it's like relationship sales or consultative sales, where it's talking to people, getting them to like you, and then selling. Like that I like, not the cold calling, hey, do you want to buy a pen, do you want to buy a window? I don't like that stuff. But yes, I was really good at that. And because of the way sales works, even though my basic was 18,000, that was my salary, that was what's on my contract, because I was over exceeding my targets every month, I was taking about, I was taking like an extra £1,000 home every month because I was smashing my targets. So after that year that I'd been at the company, I realised I actually took home over £30,000, just about maybe £31,000 I took home. And I remember looking back like, wow, Mimi, remember when you're looking for a job that was £25,000 and you wouldn't accept anything less, and that's what you wanted, 25k, and you humbled yourself a little bit, took the 18k, but in the end you actually ended up earning quite a bit more than what you had wanted to earn. So it was actually kind of like an eye-opener to me that actually there's a lot of money that can be earned in sales. And sometimes, and this is very important, I hope like if any of the lessons you pick up from this is one of them, that sometimes you can take a step back or even 2 steps back, and that's just to propel you for 10 steps forward. You know, you can fail upwards. That's the funny thing that life has taught me. You can really fail upwards when sometimes some of the moves you're making doesn't really make sense to other people. It looks like, and even sometimes it didn't make sense to me. It looked like I was taking a step back. All this education I had, and I couldn't get like a proper graduate job in London paying at least 25k, you know, but in the end I was earning a lot more than a lot of people that I knew that had gotten the £22,000 jobs. I was earning considerably more than them. So yeah, that was like my first, hold on, that was the first time that I delved into, you know, the job and like working in an office and like the career world. That was my first introduction and I smashed it. But once I got into sales, I realized there's like another arm of sales, which is called account management, and that's kind of like more senior, and that's basically where you have your client base. So let's say every company sells to different companies, that's how they make money, and then you'll have a company that you sell, companies that you sell to every single month. So let's say like, I don't know, let's say Heinz ketchup, Heinz mayonnaise, that's a huge brand. They all sell their products to Sainsbury's, Tesco's, all the big supermarkets, the smaller supermarkets. So these are all their clients. So an account manager like me would manage the relationship between, you know, Heinz, maybe Berkshire Heinz, maybe London, not Heinz, Sainsbury's, Morrison's. These will all be my clients, and it's my job to make sure that they're happy with Heinz. They want to keep stocking our products, and also to upsell, to sell them more Heinz, sell them more and more and more. So that's what account management is. It's like maintaining existing relationships but also growing the sales in that account. But obviously there's an element of it that's business development as well, which is new business, where let's say there's a supermarket, let's say we weren't in Asda, it would be my job to get Heinz into Asda. I don't care what mayonnaise brand they've got in there, they're going to take Heinz. So that's kind of what I did. So after a year in as a sales executive, I wanted to progress, and I was like, right, I'm good at this. I want to go into account management. I want to like take it a step further. So I ended up getting a job at Procter & Gamble. And I remember on the hiring day, they used to do like these recruitment days where they get like 30 graduates in a room, and they wanted to see who would stand out. So I think Procter & Gamble were looking for 2 people, and there were 30 plus of us there that day, but there were also different companies that were hiring for different roles. There were different like tech companies, whatever, and they had their HR people at that recruitment day looking for who they thought would be the best fit. Now I remember that day there were loads of different companies, but the Procter & Gamble job was the best job, and everybody wanted that job because the salary was the highest. The basic wage with sales, it was 24k for that job. So within a year I'd gone from basic 18 to 24, that I was jumping. I was a big leap within a year. 24k basic. It came with a company car, it came with like an American Express card. Everybody wanted that job. It was the highest basic pay. All the other jobs were offering like 20k, maybe 22. Nobody was offering 24k, and no one of the other jobs were offering a company car. So I remember I got down to, like, at the end of the day, Procter & Gamble were interested in me, and then 2 other tech companies were interested in me. Out of like the 8 recruiters that were there, or the 8 companies that were there, 3 of them had asked for me. And I remember the recruitment company that invited me for the day, they called me the next day. They're like, hey, okay, we want to get you prepped for your other roles. We want to get you prepped, you know, so you're ready for the 3 different... And I said to them, I'm sorry, but the only job I... If I look back at it now, I swear to God, I'm crazy. I was like, I'm sorry, but the only job I'm actually interested in, it was the Procter & Gamble job. And I remember her just like thinking, like, and she said to me, like, what is wrong with you? Like, what if you don't get that job? Like, don't you want to have the other 2 as a backup? You should go for all 3 of them and see the one that you end up getting. And like, she was trying to talk sense into me, but I said to her, no, I'm sorry, I know the job I want, and I'd rather focus all my energy and spare time, because obviously I still had a job, you know, I didn't have a lot of time to be going to different interviews and preparing. I was like, no, I'd rather just focus the energy I have on the job that I want. I want this Procter & Gamble job, you know. And of course I got the job, and it was quite hard. I think there were like 3 different interview stages after that recruitment day. I had to go into their head office. I had to do you know, those psychometric tests. And I remember like going back home, and my granddad was around. I was like, Granddad, I fucked it up. I failed. But that was not from a lack of practicing. Like, I don't ever go to interviews without being prepared. I'd done so many like numerical reasoning tests, so many psychometric tests, but on the day I was just so convinced I failed. Then you also have like a final interview. Turns out I passed, and you had a final interview with like the manager, who's going to be your manager, and a spare manager. And he was giving me, the guy who's going to be my manager was giving me such a hard time, but I was like, no, like, I deserve this job. I remember them asking me what makes me different from everybody else that's going up for the role. And I remember saying to them, I've met my competition at the recruitment day. We were all there. As I said, I've met my competition, and I get the impression that a lot of them want a job. I want this job, you know. And I remember them just like looking at me like, rah, wow, this girl's confident. I was like, yeah, I want this job, you know. So none of them's going to put in as much effort and hard work as I am, because this is the job that I know is made for me. And I also remember at the recruitment day, they asked the same question, like, what makes you different from like the people that you're sitting next to today? And I remember saying, Einstein said, it's not that I'm so much better or smarter than other people, but that I stay with my problems for longer. And that's such an important thing for sales. Like, you have to be resilient, because you're going to get a lot more no's than yeses. And I just remember like the other 30 odd people that were going up for that job just being like, whoa. You know, so never be scared to set yourself apart. Doesn't matter how arrogant or cocky you're going to come across. Like, I know that that audience were very impressed. Anyway, I got the job, and I spent the next 2 years working for Wella, one of the divisions owned by Procter & Gamble in the beauty and hair sector. And that was amazing. I've never had so much control in a job. I set my own hours. I mean, there were days, good thing none of them are going to watch this, but there were days that I would rock up to work at 11 o'clock in the morning and be finished by 3. Like, I set my own hours. I had my accounts to go see. I was field based, so every day I was seeing my accounts, you know. And you know, the basic was 24k, but first year I was earning over 40k, second year over 40k. Still, I don't remember the exact amounts. All I know is I was earning considerably well. For like, how old was I at the time? Maybe 24, 25. I was earning really good money, in my opinion. Obviously there's people that earn a lot more than that, but I was earning well over 40k, and I was driving a brand new Lexus that I picked out, custom made for me, the colour, the seats, everything. I picked it out myself. You know, I had a company Amex card, lunches were paid for, hotels were paid for, dinners were paid for. I was living my best life. But after about 2.5 years, I got a bit bored. I'm the type of person, like, I always need a new challenge after a while. Once I've learnt that role, I've mastered that role, I've excelled at that role, like, you need to be giving me a promotion, sis. And there was just nothing coming up at the time within that company. So I started looking around, and I remember, like, I was interviewing with Pepsi at the time, but I wasn't very happy in my life at the time. And I remember my best friend Jelani said to me, like, write down, like, what you would like to achieve in the next year. Like, write down 3 things you'd like to achieve in the next year. And I remember writing down a new job, learning a new language, and living in Spain. So those are 3 things that in the next year I said to myself I was going to work for. And I thank Jelani so much, because I don't think she realizes how much of an impact just telling me to put that. I wrote it on my mirrors in my bedroom, so every day I would wake up. I wasn't happy in my life, I wasn't content, I felt like I've been doing this job for too long, I wasn't moving up, and I would see, like, a new job, learn a new language, and living in Spain staring at me. And I was interviewing for other jobs, and I remember I started interviewing at PepsiCo. Like, PepsiCo, if you don't know, are a huge company. And thankfully for, like, my past, like, you know, working at Procter & Gamble and having that on my CV is something that opens a lot of doors, I'm not gonna lie to you. So I was interviewing with PepsiCo, I got to the last stage, you know, that job was pretty much in the bag, and, like, they were like, let's book it in for the final, you know, interview. And I had to say, I'm really sorry, but I'm moving to Spain, I'm not going to be around. Like, it was just like, I just made that decision there and then. I booked a 1-way ticket, and within, like, less than 3 weeks later, I think I stayed, it was December, I stayed for Christmas, spent it with my family. Less than 3 weeks later, my bags were packed, my house was packed, I rented out my rooms, and I was on a 1-way flight to Spain, and I had, like, enough money for 3 months. I was like, okay, I'm gonna stay for at least 3 months, try and learn as much of the language, expose myself to a new culture, and see how I get on. If I can get a good job, I'll stay. If I can't, your girl's gonna have to go back home. And I remember getting there, and it was just so much harder than I expected it to be. Like, you don't speak the language, you don't know anybody, you don't have anywhere to live. I was staying at Airbnbs, and I just didn't really know what was going on. I was like, even the system to get you, like, your NI number or your insurance number, I didn't understand it. Everything was in Spanish on the website. I just really wasn't prepared. I hadn't really planned it through. But the first job that I ever saw when I was there was a job that said, I'm looking for an account manager for the Nigerian market. And I was like, yes, ka-ching, I'm an account manager, I'm Nigerian, hello. So obviously I applied for that job, they called me, I had an interview maybe like a week or 2 weeks later, and then I never heard from them for, like, well over a month. Like, that was it. And the job was for Hewlett Packard, HP. And in the UK, getting into tech sales is money, baby. Getting into tech sales in the UK is so hard because you have to have experience in tech sales. But here I was with an opportunity to get into tech sales in Spain, and, you know, I blew my chance. They didn't call me. Like, they did not call me. And I remember the guy who was hiring at the time saying, you can't think that just because you're Nigerian you're going to get the job. And I think I had gone into it thinking, well, where else are they going to find a Nigerian in Spain? This job is so mine. And I probably hadn't prepared as much as I should have. I prepared, obviously, but I could have done more. I think I had thought I had it in the bag. But no, I didn't. So I ended up getting a job in a call centre for a British company. And it's the type of job where, like, they would, like, monitor what time you got in, your going to the toilet was monitored. It was like, once you hung up on a call, it's like customer service, once you hung up on a call, another one would come straight in. It was just like mind-numbingly boring telly jobs, and I hated every minute of it. And it was like beyond the minimum pay, like minimum of minimum. I think I was earning 12,000 euros a year at that job. Like, so I had gone from, like, well over 40,000 pounds to earning 12,000 euros. Like, it had, and I started thinking, what the hell have I done? Mimi, why did this seem like such a good idea at the time? So I was in that job for about 2.5 weeks when I finally heard back from HP, and they were like, well, we want to invite you to have another meeting or interview with the manager you spoke to and his higher manager. They're like, but this time around, this is what we want you to prepare, this is what we want you to talk about. Like, so they're basically giving me a second chance. Y'all, I did not waste it. Like, I was so prepared, and my manager's manager literally hired me on the spot. He was like, right, you can start next week. Like, he didn't even like confer. I think the manager who I'd done the first interview was a bit shocked because he hadn't been that impressed with me. But and I think he was like, okay, well, should we, because there was meant to be one more stage, that's it. There was meant to be another stage of an interview with another manager, but the new guy, the second manager, was like, no, we don't need to do that. I'm impressed, she can start next week. And that was that. And I remember just dancing, yes, yes, yes. I called up that telesales job, I quit there and then. I'm like, I'm out. Good riddance, you know. But even that job, even working for HP, the money in Spain is so much lower than what I'm used to in the UK. So even HP, I think my basic salary was 18,000. I don't actually know. And even with like smashing targets and overachieving targets, I was probably still only earning 27,000, maybe 28,000 euros, so even less when you do the conversion euros in a year. But it was a great job. I learned so much. I was working in tech for one of the biggest tech company in the world, and one of the biggest companies in the whole world. Like, it was amazing. I got to travel to Nigeria twice, all expense paid. They took us to Prague as well, all expense paid. It was just so amazing, and I loved the people I worked with, and I loved Spain. I was learning a new language, I'd got a new job, and I was living in Spain. Like, all the three things that I'd put on my list, I had them, and I was loving my life. I was making new friends, and everything was super, super good. And I did that for a year until I realised, right, it's time to come back. Like, I was 28 at this point, and I was like, right, it's time to come back. It's time to get your life in the UK settled. I didn't enjoy dating out in Spain. I hated it. And I'm like, no, if you ever want to get married, you ever want to be happy. And also, things with my flat were fucking up. The people that were renting it were absolutely like abusing it. So that was the only reason I ended up leaving Spain in the end. But I had taken like a massive pay cut, but I was happy, and I was happy to take it and have this new experience and live this new life. And also on my CV I could put HP tech sales, and I could put like international work experience. So when I came back to the UK, I've done a video about this, I got a job at another tech company who would never have taken me a year and a half before, because I had no tech experience. But now they were more than happy, and like my basic when I started that job was £44,000. I could not believe it, like what I was earning with like my basic and my commission before I left Spain, before I left England for Spain just like a year ago, was what these people were now offering me as a guaranteed basic. And then if I hit my targets, I would earn 70,000. But of course I could earn way more than that if I smashed my targets. I couldn't believe it. Signed on the dotted line. They obviously paid me 5 grand as well to relocate me from Spain to the UK. You know, you guys know how that job ended up anyway. I hated the job. I got to keep the 5 grand, hated the job. They were paying me really good for like 3 months. Like I was earning the full 70k. That was my OTE for the first 3 months I was there while I was training. So that was amazing. But after that, like they fired me, which I wanted, so I could keep the 5 grand, and I kept it moving. And then I kind of started focusing on YouTube. But the point that I wanted to say is like, you can really feel upwards. Like I would never have thought that when, and people said to me, like my mum said to me, are you crazy? You're leaving a job at Procter & Gamble earning £40,000 a year to Spain where I was earning 12,000, then now 18,000 euros. I was earning considerably less. And so it doesn't make any sense. But by doing that, that allowed me to come back to the UK with the experience that allowed me to have a job that was earning 44,000, you know, considerably more. And now that I'm going back to work, that's the bare minimum. I'm sorry, darling, we're not accepting less coin than that. And that's just my basic. And obviously you're going to earn your commission, your sales commission on top of that as well. So I don't know, I don't know, I just really want to share my story and how like at every stage when I wasn't happy, I made a decision to leave, and it always seemed to work out for the best. Even like coming to YouTube, and I would never have thought that I would be able to do YouTube full-time as a career. My dad told me not to, but I'm sorry, Daddy, like over 8 months later, your girl has done this. She's paid her bills, and like the only reason now that I'm looking to go back is, to be honest, I've kind of lost a bit of the love. I've lost a bit of the love for the YouTube game, but also all the other things that I need to achieve. You know, I need like to not be my own employer for those things. But I mean, YouTube's end goal, YouTube's end game, I can't wait to find that love and that passion again and do it full time again and make that like my future. But right now, your girl is hunting again for a new role, and I'm so excited. I just wanted to motivate you guys and just say to you, like, if you're not happy in a situation, don't be scared to leave. I'm not saying go quit your job, you know, and do what I did and move to a new country, because there's a lot of self-belief and you have to have done the foundation work to make sure you can excel. It's not like, you know, your girl like was hireable. I was extremely hireable, and I was extremely confident when I walked into an interview room. So I'm not telling you to just go quit your job. What I'm saying is don't be scared to make changes to your life if something isn't working out, if you're not happy, because those changes can lead to greatness. Even when it looks like you're taking a step back, like actually, darling, you're actually preparing yourself to be propelled forward. Like it's like on a sling, a sling, like you have to put it back first of all before you let it go, and it soars. So yeah, that's the message that I wanted to give you guys today. I can't wait for this new decade. I'm so excited. In 2020, I see and this new decade moving forward, I see a serious relationship. I see my fiance, I see my future husband, I see some kids later down the line. I see my new home, my new car, my new job. I see lots of happiness, and I see lots of love and friendship and family surrounding me. So yeah, that's my story so far. I hope it helps somebody. Never be scared, never be afraid to set yourself apart from everybody else, but do the work, darling. Do the research, do the preparation, and yeah, I'm JUSTDOINGMI. We're looking good, we're feeling good. Don't forget, you guys can check out this hair. It's linked in the description box. I might fluff it up a bit, just because it's still a bit wet. But we are ready. It's time to head out. Yes, it's time to head out. Catch you soon. Hey, don't forget to subscribe.